What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown, and I am your host, Mike McCamey, and the season's over. What am I supposed to do now? I don't know, honestly. I am going to try and find, some type of way to, you know, keep episodes pumping out for y'all, but I may end up, going on, a month or two hiatus whenever it's between OTAs and training camp. But I am here to keep you updated, to go through the draft process, to go through free agency, and that's what we're doing in today's episode. We're going over the offseason and talking about what we need to do if we want to be competitive in year one under whatever new head coach is going to end up joining the Tennessee Titans. So, before we get into all of that, of course, we got to do that 2 to 3 minute segment, man. You know what I'm talking about? I have to readjust Derrick Henry here. It's that 2 to 3 minute segment where I talk about something that's not related to the Titans, even though this time it kind of is. Now, I usually talk about the Vols, but there's not that much stuff going on around that program right now because, there's not that much else to go over. Nico's good, potentially. And I don't know, we got a couple of transfer tight ends since the last time we talked, but anyway, but I am making an announcement in today's episode. Today, on Friday at 4:30 p.m., so if there are people that are going to school right now like me, who, if you even do have school on Friday, I mean, we're in the middle of a blizzard right now, not an actual one, but if it's an hour after school, 4:30 p.m. on Friday, I will be releasing a new experimental video. Now, what is this experimental video, you may ask? Well, my friend, this video is a video essay, and I'm not going to say what it's about because I don't want to ruin the surprise, and you could probably see it on my page. It'll show up as a premiere launch, but so basically what's going to be happening is that this video is not going to be good, okay? Just don't have your expectations set too high whenever you're going into here. Some of the pictures are quality is crap, and it's mostly just pictures being zoomed in on, and the transitions are also all weird and stuff. So cut me some slack, but this is not going to be a good video. Hopefully my narration is good, and that's what it's depending on. If y'all like me narrating the story of said person, like who I'm doing on Friday, or going over how Brock Purdy went from irrelevance to the most relevant quarterback in the NFL or something like that, if y'all want to see type of content, some video essays that I do about specific players, then I am completely open to doing that. Actually, it's one of my favorite forms of content on YouTube, watching J&D Productions. Y'all have heard of them. Sometimes I'll go over to one of their videos. Their language is a little but I'll sometimes watch some of their videos, and I will and it'll just be so interesting to me and captivating, kind of. It's just I want to create that type of content, but I'm not too sure if I can do it. And if y'all are interested in me making that type of content, let me know. But anyway, so yeah, it's a new era with the YouTube channel, at least, because after the season's over, after the Super Bowl has been played and whatnot, I'm gonna rename this channel to just my name, Micah McCamey, and I'm gonna try and open up towards more content. I got a Madden series in the works right now. That's a new announcement, and I am going to be doing I'm going to do a therapy session with NFL head coaches type of series where I just talk to myself and I play as one of the coaches or something. But anyway, so yeah, I announced a lot during that one period of time, I know, but trust me, I think that this will be big, and I think it's all going to be worth it in the end. All right? Okay, so now we get into the Titans content creation. And if you did hear those announcements, I'm very thankful, and I'm hoping that y'all will be along with that journey with me. But if you didn't, we're getting into the Titan stuff right now. All right, so we are going to be breaking down the entire offseason for the Tennessee Titans. Now, there are only two areas that I'm really going to be concerned about right now. I'll handle the rest of like training camp and OTAs and all that type of stuff. I'm going to talk about that later, but I'm going to break down the two sides, the two biggest moments of the offseason: the draft and the Pro Bowl. No, I'm playing. And free agency, obviously. So let's get down to business and let's talk about what I think should happen this offseason to make us contenders. All right, so the draft, first round pick. All right, I've been seeing Olafashanu not be as highly touted on mock drafts as some people were expecting him to, be. So I say that we go get him at 7 because I think Joe Alt's already gone. He's probably going to like the Giants or the Chargers or something like that. So that's how I feel about that. I saw someone try and say that we're picking Brock Bowers. Don't listen to that. We do not need Brock Bowers. We don't need a weapon for Will Levis. We'll handle that later. We don't need any of these things. What we need is a good, solid offensive lineman for Will Levis to block for him. Like what we have in Skronsky right now, what we used to have in Jack Conklin. Like, we need that at left tackle right now. Just so that way Will Levis doesn't get killed. Because the right side and the center, they're like Aaron Brewer, Daniel Brunskill, and I don't know whoever's playing left tackle, Dylan Radins. They're all not great, but they are still like, if we get the left tackle position figured out, I think that the right side will be just fine. Like, I think that Daniel Brunskill is fine where he is right now, but anyway, let's get going on with the next pick. All right, so with the second round pick, we select the best wide receiver available as a weapon for Will Levis to grow with and to create chemistry with. Now, I'm not too sure who's going to be available. If it's going to be one of the Washington receivers, Xavier Worthy, who would be my personal pick, but I'm not too sure if he's going to slide into round 2. But that's my personal opinion on what we should do in round 2. And we need to go after a receiver to grow with Will Levis. And if y'all have heard my thoughts on free agency, we could have a very dangerous receiver core next season. But I'll get into that in a few minutes from now. All right, so now we go into the third round. And I'm going to lose a couple of people with this. I know that, but we need to draft an experimental, like, defensive end. Now, I know that a lot of people are just like, oh, Danico Autry just had his breakout year. Big Jeff is a beast. But, like, and I get that. They're all great. But we just lost Tier Tart. We cut him because of personality issues. And Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry are great, but we need that third guy that can come in and be consistent and solid. And let's try and take a waiver on a dude in the third round, try and develop him, and so that way we have some youth on that defensive line, potentially. You know, put Big Jeff back at defensive tackle, and then put this dude on the right side of the defensive line. Like that could end up working out pretty well. And the fourth round is the last round I'm going to go over. I didn't even bother doing the research for the fourth round. So I'm just saying an experimental right tackle, a young guy that has high upside, but is questionable whenever it comes to work ethic and him actually reaching the ceiling that he could end up reaching. Like a Jalen Duncan, if Jalen Duncan was just a little bit better, you know? That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, and let's take a look at, and now that we're done with the draft, I think that we've talked enough about that because, like, there are only 4 rounds that I personally really care about. And everything else is just depth pieces at that point. Like in the 5th or 6th, go get like a depth receiver or something like that. And like potentially in the 7th, if you think that Nick Folk is getting old, or you think Stonehouse is not going to be the same after his horrid leg injury, then like go draft a kicker or a punter. But like that's all the input that I really have on the draft. And no, I don't think the Titans should replace Nick Folk. I think it's a big risk, but anyway, now we move on to free agency. This is the part that I have the biggest opinions on, because like the draft, I know like the first 3 rounds are basically all that I'm really worried about. Like we need to do this, that, and this, like, and no matter what with the draft, like judging by how well Ran Carthon drafted the the last draft, then that makes me really confident about Ran Carthon's drafting ability. So even if he doesn't do any of this, like if he does go draft Brock Bowers in the first round, in the moment I'll be upset, but like in the end I'll think, but like the day after, I'll be like, you know what? I trust Ran Carthon. He was able to make a draft work that we thought was just not going to be that great. And, and if he goes and picks a left tackle in the second round, I'll be fine with that too. And if he picks a quarterback in the 4th, okay, that may be a little bit of a stretch. But if he's meant to be like someone that's supposed to grow as a potential backup for Will Levis, that's great. But now we move on to free agency. My big feeling about this, or my what was I saying there? My big opinion on this is that this is the most important free agency that the Tennessee Titans have had in a very long time. Because this free agency could take us from laughingstock to potential greatness if we put the right pieces around the new head coach, and if that head coach is a smash hit. There are a lot of ifs, obviously. Like the head coach has got to be good, Will Levis has got to break out, and we have to put the right pieces around him. But I think that we can make a very splashy free agency right here. All right, so first off, all right, I know that I've been avoiding it with like not going after a receiver in the first, but you got to get another receiver for Will Levis. Like it cannot just be D-Hop, a rookie, and I don't know, Traylon Burks or Chris Moore. Like that's not going to work. It doesn't work today anymore. Like you need 3 very solid, consistent receivers to play in your receiver core. All right. So now, obviously, my dream is T. Higgins, but I'm pretty sure he's going to get franchise tagged. So if we're going to, we need to go after him in a trade. We need to get him in a trade and send all of the big guns if you need to. And if that doesn't work, then Brandon Ayuk, go trade for him, I guess. And he may not end up getting franchise tag, because I can't remember, but I think there's someone else on the last year of his contract that they need to re-sign, but I can't remember. But anyway, so Brandon Ayuk, and if neither of those 2 guys work out, I know Marquise Goodwin's probably not going to re-sign with the Cardinals, so I want to go after him. Or Michael Pittman, but I'm pretty sure that the Colts are dead on re-signing him. And if like none of those guys work out, I think I saw something about Tyler Boyd potentially being a free agent this year, another Bengals receiver, which I would be very happy about. But that's all that there is that I have to say for the wide receivers. Now we move on to the rest of free agency, which is somewhat up in the air, but if you hear what I'm talking about, you'll get it. All right, we got to go I want to get, oh yeah, also for the receivers, long-term deal. We cannot get them on some type of cheap 1-year deal. We need to get them long-term and make sure that they stay in Nashville and grow chemistry with Will Levis. All right. So now we can move on to the rest of free agency, which obviously it's a little bit up in the air, which which people we're going to go get, but I'm going to try my best to try and guess which one it is, but sorry, throat sometimes gets a little iffy whenever I'm doing these episodes, but all right. So, right tackle. We need a right tackle, not an insane right tackle, because obviously all of the great offensive linemen are going to get re-signed by their teams. We need a solid offensive tackle. Like, we need a good right tackle that can be like a gap year guy, a 1-year deal. To me, that's Trent Brown. We go get Trent Brown, let him play right tackle, just be a good, solid veteran presence on that O-line. Kind of like what Brunskill's been, but maybe just a little bit better. And we've also got to keep Daniel Brunskill at the right guard position. Get him on another 1-year deal, or heck, even just let Dylan Radins play right tackle, because they may be pretty much the same at right guard. And we keep one of those guys to also be a gap. And then at center, I'm sorry. I know that people really like to hype up Aaron Brewer, but he's not a good pass blocker. He is a great run blocker, don't get me wrong, but he is a liability whenever it comes to pass blocking. All right? We need to replace him. And I'm sorry for all the people that love his inspiring story, but let's go get Connor Williams, the guy that and I know that people are going to be like, well, he may be a little injury prone, but I don't care. Let's go get Connor Williams on a 1-year deal to also be a gap. Oh, wait, hold up. Now that I'm thinking about this, readjust my draft strategy and go for a center in the 6th that could end up being a starting caliber kind of guy. I just wanted to clarify that. But anyway, now that we've got the offensive line somewhat figured out with the idea of free agency, now we talk about defensive backs. Now, obviously, the secondary was pretty horrible last year, and I didn't add any safeties on here. I'm just realizing that right now, but just insert some random safety into the comment section that we could go after, and that will probably, and I'll probably agree, honestly, to compliment Amani Hooker. But anyway, so we need a number 1 cornerback. Sean Murphy-Bunting is very good. We need to re-sign him. We need to make sure that he stays a Tennessee Titan. He is a very solid number 2, but we don't have a definitive number 1. We don't have, Christian Fulton was not a definitive number 1. Roger McCreary, as much as he is a very good slot cornerback, is not a number 1. We need to go get someone that could be a number 1. Now, I have 4 defensive backs that I would be completely fine with us signing. Jalen Johnson is in my dreams, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to get re-signed by the Bears. And if he doesn't get re-signed by the Bears, he's going to get a franchise tag. And I don't want to trade and I don't want to trade first-round picks for Jalen Johnson. Then Kendall Fuller, a good veteran presence for the defensive backs to have and can hold his own. And then I have Rocky Yassin, who I am pretty sure is also going to get re-signed by the Ravens. But if he doesn't, we got to take the opportunity to go get him. And Jeffrey Okudo, who I would personally actually really love to have as a Tennessee Titan, because I think he's got a lot of upside, but I think he can also be a very good defensive back that we can use. And I'm not too sure if he's cornerback 1 material, but I think that he has the chance to be cornerback 1 material. If anything, he's like a lottery ticket for next year, if you get what I'm saying. So one of those guys, put Okudo on a lottery ticket, but if we can get any of those other 3 guys, put them on long-term deals. Do not put them on a cheap 1 or 2 year deal. Give them a 4-year contract. Make sure that they stay in Nashville as well. The receiver, whatever receiver we go end up getting. And then one more thing, defensive end, again, if we are going to go get a defensive end, let's go take a waiver on Chase Young. Like, give him like a 2-year deal or something like that that can be easily worked out of. Like, go get him, see if he does well at like right end. And if he does, give him some big fat extension within the next few years. So, anyway, those are all of my opinions on how free agency should go. And I've already talked about the draft. So that's basically all for this episode. I just wanted to talk about what we should do in free agency and what we should do in the draft and what our biggest needs are. So I have Instagram, I have Twitter, and I have a TikTok for those of you who don't know. And for the people listening on like Podbean or Apple Podcast or Spotify, I do have a YouTube channel, and for the YouTube site, all of those will be linked in the description. They're all under the same handle at the Titans Rundown. Same thing for my YouTube page for the people just listening over a podcasting service. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of the potential of the offseason for your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all. Tighten up.